every brutal trial, Guan Yin survived as a human explained. The Tyrant Father. King Miao Zhuang was a feudal tyrant who viewed daughters as property. He had 3 daughters. The first 2 obeyed. The third one, Miao Shan, said no. Before she was a deity, she was a human princess living in a time when refusing your father was treason. The king wanted her married to a powerful warlord to expand his influence. But Miao Shan had seen the truth of her father's world, the executions, the wars, the peasants taxed into starvation while the palace dripped with gold. She wanted no part in perpetuating that cycle. She told him she would rather become a nun to heal the suffering he caused. King Miao Zhuang didn't see a daughter with convictions. He saw defiance. He saw his authority questioned. So he devised a punishment designed to break her spirit, to make her beg for the marriage she had refused. He sent her to the White Sparrow Monastery. Trial 1. The Labor. King Miao Zhuang didn't send her there to pray. He sent her there to suffer. The king made a deal with the monastery's abbess, the head nun who owed the crown favors. Miao Shan was accepted as a novice, but she was given every degrading, backbreaking task in the temple. She was worked until her hands bled, until her body collapsed, until she crawled back to the palace and begged forgiveness. They assigned her to the flower garden. Sounds peaceful, doesn't it? It wasn't. This was hauling buckets of water from the well in the freezing dawn. This was digging irrigation ditches with her bare hands. This was scrubbing stone paths on her knees until the skin wore away. She was isolated, humiliated, and given the work of 10 people. But she never complained. She never broke. But here's where the myth begins to creep in. According to the precious scroll of Fragrant Mountain, Shang Sharn Bao Juyan, the natural world took pity on her. A dragon spirit made the well overflow so she didn't have to haul water. Birds pulled weeds from the garden. A tiger brought her firewood. Whether you believe that literally or see it as a metaphor for her unbreakable will, the message is the same. Nature itself recognized what her father could not. When the abbess reported this back to the king, he didn't see a miracle. He saw witchcraft. He saw a daughter who had turned even the monastery against him. So he escalated. Trial 2. The Massacre. King Miao Zhuang ordered his soldiers to march on the White Sparrow Monastery, not to retrieve his daughter, to destroy her. If she wanted to live among nuns, she would die among them. The soldiers arrived at night. They barred the doors from the outside, and then they set the monastery on fire. 500 nuns were inside. Miao Shan tried to save them. She ran through the burning halls, choking on smoke, pulling sisters from collapsing beams. But you can't fight fire with flesh. The screams echoed through the valley as the wooden structure became a crematorium. The precious scroll says she prayed so hard that the heavens wept. A rainstorm extinguished the flames. But even if the rain came, it came too late. The nuns were dead, charred bodies piled in the courtyard. And Miao Shan was dragged from the ashes by her father's soldiers, covered in soot and blood, and brought back to the palace in chains. The king had murdered 500 innocent women to prove a point, and the point was this: I own you. Trial 3. The Execution. Miao Shan was sentenced to death, not quietly, not with poison in her sleep. King Miao Zhuang wanted a public execution. He wanted the people to see what happened to daughters who defied their fathers. So she was dragged to the execution grounds, forced to kneel in the dirt, and the executioner raised his sword. The blade came down and shattered. Not chipped, not dulled, shattered like it had struck a mountain. The executioner tried again with a second blade, same result, fragments of steel exploding across the platform. The crowd gasped. The king's face turned red with rage, because this wasn't just a failed execution. This was a public humiliation. The heavens themselves were intervening, and everyone could see it. So the king ordered a new method. If the blade wouldn't take her, they would strangle her. The executioner wrapped the cord around her throat. He pulled, and this time, there was no divine intervention. This time, she died. Her body went limp. Her eyes rolled back. Princess Miao Shan, The woman who had refused to compromise her compassion was murdered by her own father. But death was just the next trial. Trial 4, the Underworld. Her soul descended into Diyu, the Chinese hell, a bureaucracy of suffering overseen by the 10 kings of the underworld. This is where sinners are processed, where tortures are assigned based on karmic debt. Miao Shan's soul should have been judged, assigned a sentence, and then sent to reincarnation like every other dead mortal. But she didn't scream. She walked into hell, saw the lakes of blood and the forests of knives and the boiling cauldrons, and felt compassion, not for herself, for the souls being tortured. So she began to pray. She radiated such peace, such mercy, that the suffering began to stop. The tortured souls found relief. The flames cooled. The knives dulled. Hell was turning into a paradise. The 10 kings panicked. Hell only functions if suffering functions. If the damned stop suffering, the entire cosmic justice system collapses. So they did the only thing they could. They expelled her, threw her soul back into the mortal world because she was too compassionate to stay in hell. She was resurrected. The precious scroll says a local earth deity, sometimes depicted as a tiger spirit, guided her soul back into her body. She woke up on Fragrant Mountain, a remote sacred peak where she would spend the next 9 years meditating, healing, and perfecting her understanding of compassion. But the final trial was still waiting. Trial 5, the sacrifice. 9 years after her execution, King Miao Zhuang fell ill. Not a normal illness, a rotting disease. His flesh turned black, his skin split open and oozed, tumors grew across his body. The imperial doctors tried everything. Nothing worked. The king was dying, and he knew it was karmic retribution. He had murdered 500 nuns. He had executed his own daughter. And now the universe was collecting the debt. A wandering monk arrived at the palace and told the king there was only one cure. He needed medicine made from the arms and eyes of one who was willing to give them without anger. The king sent servants across the kingdom searching for such a person. No one volunteered. Who would? Who gouges out their own eyes for a tyrant? Until the servants reached Fragrant Mountain, and Miao Shan said yes. She didn't hesitate. She didn't negotiate. She took a blade, pressed it to her shoulder, and in one act of visceral, unflinching compassion, she severed her own arms. Bone cracked, flesh tore. Then she reached up and gouged out her own eyes. The servants carried the bloody offerings back to the palace. The monk ground them into medicine. The king drank, and he was healed. His flesh became whole. His pain vanished. But when he asked who had sacrificed themselves for him, the monk told him the truth. It was his daughter. The king collapsed, not from illness this time, but from the weight of realization. He had spent years trying to break her. He had tortured her, burned her friends alive, executed her, and even in death, even after all that, she had saved him, not because he deserved it, but because compassion doesn't require deserving. King Miao Zhuang renounced his throne. He became a monk himself, spending the rest of his life in penance. And Miao Shan? The heavens could no longer ignore her. She had endured forced labor, survived a massacre, been executed by her father, turned hell into a sanctuary, and sacrificed her own body without anger. She had proven that compassion wasn't weakness, it was the hardest thing in the universe. She ascended. Her body was transformed. The arms she had severed became 1,000 arms, each one holding a tool of mercy. The eyes she had gouged out became 1,000 eyes, each one seeing the suffering of the world. She became Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy, not because she was born divine, but because she had suffered more than any mortal and chosen love anyway. The Wukong connection. And this is why in Journey to the West, when Sun Wukong, the Monkey King who defeated armies of gods, wears the golden headband, it is Guan Yin who controls it. That circlet of pain that tightens around his skull when he disobeys, she's the one who can activate it. And he listens. not because she's more powerful in raw strength, but because she earned authority the hardest way possible. She knows suffering, she knows rebellion, she knows what it's like to be tortured by the system and still choose mercy. When Guan Yin tells Wukong to stop, he stops because she's not some pampered deity lecturing from a cloud. She's someone who was strangled to death by her own father and still forgave him. That's the lore black myth Wukong players need to understand. The goddess of mercy isn't a gentle mother figure. She's a survivor of feudal tyranny, a daughter murdered by her own father, a woman who literally went to hell and back and still chose compassion. She's not soft, she's forged. Every trial Guan Yin survived as Princess Miao Shan was designed to break her, and every single one made her stronger. If you want more deep dives into the brutal origins of Chinese mythology and the lore behind black myth, Wukong, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe for more dark mythology content.